So here we are in our game. We have a spaceship that will follow our commands. It will teleport off the side of the screen onto the other. And now we have a great background to use instead of the boring white background. So today we're going to go ahead and add the next piece of functionality to our spaceship, and that's the ability to fire. So we're going to have some bullets we're going to make, and we're going to program them to fly straight off from the spaceship. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so here we're back in Piskel. I've signed in. If I click on my gallery, I can see all the sprites I've made so far. And you'll see that I've practiced making a bullet. This will just give you sort of an idea of about what I'm thinking we should make. So I'm going to go ahead and create Piskel. Okay, so once again we're going to make use of the vertical mirror pen. I'm going to switch my color from black to, I'll probably do a light blue for the outside. And very important, don't forget that we need to transform this. We need to rotate it so that it is facing this direction when we bring it into Scratch. Otherwise, it's going to fly in a very strange way. If you are feeling really ambitious and you want to make several frames and animate this the same way we animated the back of the ship's engines, by all means, make a few frames, change up, add some sparks coming out the back, and we can animate it the same exact way we did with the engines. So if you're feeling that, go for it. For the sake of time, I'm not going to do that for this. I'm going to click on the export button on the right hand side of the screen. PNG will be just fine. I'm going to click download. Here I'm using Google Chrome. I think it's automatically being put in my downloads folder. I'm going to go ahead and click show in folder so I can find it really easily. And I'm going to go ahead and you see, since I have a lot of things named New Piskel, I'm going to rename it to Bullet. I think I already have one, so I'm going to call mine Bullet 2. Okay, and at this point we're going to hop into Scratch. Here we are back in Scratch. I'm going to go ahead and upload a new sprite from File. It's in my Downloads folder, and I believe I called it Bullet 2. And there it is. So right now it's just going to be sort of hanging out there in the middle of the screen. So now let's go ahead and give it some code. Before we do that, let's think about what we need to have it do. So the bullet is going to be tied to the ship. So as I fly the ship and I press a certain button, a bullet's going to need to appear near the ship. It's going to need to fly forward, but it's going to need to know where the ship is to make that happen. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to point out one thing, is right now I have the bullet selected, and so I can't see any of the scripts that are associated with the ship. If I click on the ship, there are the ship scripts. So these scripts that we're writing are identified or associated with one of the sprites. So here we're going to be working on the bullet. And the first thing we're going to do actually is go to Looks, and we're going to hide it. So let me grab Events. When the green flag is clicked, I want to hide the bullet. Okay, I want it to go away so I can't see it. The next thing I need to do is I need to bring it to the front of the ship. So take a second and think about how we can do that. We have some of the tools in our tool belts already. How could we bring the bullet to the ship? Here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to grab another event, and that's the when spacebar is pressed. I could pick any of the keys, but spacebar is actually the one I'm thinking of. So when the spacebar key is pressed, I want certain things to happen. The first thing I want to happen is I want the bullet to move to where the ship is, wherever that might be. So if I go to motion, in motion I have this block we've used before that's go to X and Y coordinates. So the first thing I want to happen is I want the bullet to move to a certain coordinates. Unfortunately, it's not that simple because the ship is going to be moving around the screen at all times and those coordinates won't be the same. If the ship stayed in the same place the entire game, then that would be easy. So I need to figure out how to specify inside of here that I want the X and Y coordinates of the ship. And that's where I go to the sensing category. And in this category, I can actually find a block that will let me specify the X and Y position of a different object other than myself. So here it is. I can go to X position of bullet 2. I don't want the X position of bullet 2. That's myself. What I want is the X position of sprite 0, which is my ship. And I can get it again. But this time I don't want the X position. I want the Y position. While this is open, take a look at the different things that we can use, because it's going to come in handy in a second. So I want the Y position of sprite 0. Now, just to see if we're on the right track, let's go ahead and add something. Let's add the show command. So if this works right, when I press the green the green flag, the bullet should hide, so I can't see it, it's invisible. But when I press the space bar, it should warp to wherever the ship is and show itself. Let's see how it works. So I'm going to move around to this part of the screen. I'm going to press the space bar. There it is. Okay, so I've moved it there, and it just stays there, exactly where I told it to be. If I press the flag again, it's hidden now because I pressed the green flag and it hides. Let me go down here and press the space bar, and it appears. So now we've brought it to the spaceship. We need to point it in the right direction, and we need to send it on its way so it flies wherever it's going. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull the show part off yet because I'm not quite ready to have it show itself. I'm going to go ahead and go back to motion, and I want to go and grab the point in direction because we noticed that wherever I was when I shouldn't have detached that yet. Wherever I was, the bullet just automatically faced its standard default direction, even though the ship was facing in another direction. That's not going to work. So I'm going to go to motion, and I'm going to grab the point in direction. And I'm going to actually use the very same block from the sensing category. But of course, I need to change its parameters. These things that you can change inside of the blocks are known as parameters. So I'm going to change it to the direction of sprite 0. Let's see if that had the desired effect. So if I come down here and I'm facing that direction, I press the space bar, there we go. It's facing the correct direction. No matter where I go, which way I'm facing, if I press the space bar, it's facing that direction. So I've brought the bullet to me. I have pointed it in the right direction. All that's left now is to send it on its way. To do that, I'm going to use a loop. But I'm not going to use this forever loop that we've been basically using up until now. I'm going to use this one that's repeat until. And the name pretty much has it all. What I'm asking to happen is that something's going to repeat until something else happens that will signal that it should stop repeating. So what I want to happen is I want the bullet to travel. So I'm going to go to motion, and I'm going to say move 10 steps. So it's going to move 10 steps until something happens to stop it. And the thing that I want it to stop it is I want it to hit the edge of the screen. So there is a key or a block that will work really well for this. And let's see if we can find it. It's actually the very top one, touching. So let's figure out which parameter we want to use. Our choices are the mouse pointer, which is my mouse, the edge of the screen, or the ship. And what I'm looking for is the actual edge of the screen. I want this bullet to move until it hits the edge of the screen. So until you hit the edge of the screen, move 10 steps. I know from practice that's probably going to be a little too slow, so I'm going to tell it to move 30 steps. And I almost forgot one thing. We should actually attach the show block before we actually move it. So now, when I press the space bar, the bullet will warp to the ship, the X position of the ship and the Y position of the ship. It will point in the direction the ship is pointing. It's going to show itself, and now it's going to move until it hits the edge of the screen. So let's give this a try. There it goes. And if you're paying attention, you might notice something, and that's the bullet basically gets stuck on the side of the screen. So I'm going to do one more thing to stop that from happening. I'm going to go back to looks, and I'm going to once again take the hide button. And so once it hits the edge of the screen, it's going to stop moving, and at that point I want it to hide itself. So now it's going to hit that edge and it's going to go invisible. It's still there, you just don't know it's there. So now we have a bullet that will fire in any direction. If we want to change the speed of the bullet, all we need to do is look at this number right here. So for example, what happens if I move it up to 60? It's going about twice as fast. I would say probably too fast. I think somewhere between 30 and 40. Let's try 35. I like that, but once again, this is up to you. I want to point out one final thing about firing the bullet, and that is that there is only one bullet. And it fires, it gets to the edge so quickly that I can pull it again, and what's happening is it's on the edge of the screen. I press the space bar a second time, and it warps back to me and shoots. But there really is only one bullet. I'm just reusing it and having it come back to me when I'm finished with it.